very important tool for musical theory and harmony is the circle of fifths. The circle of fifths gives us all the elements about the scales and the basic chords. To the right, we have in sequence major scales with sharps. The leading tone is always two positions behind. To the left, the scales with flats. The scale, we are moving counterclockwise, is always after the flat sequence. But you can also see the two poems we've learned. Half the clock gives us the sharps, and half the clock gives us the flats. The basic chords of each scale are left and right to the tonic chord. We have the fourth to the left and the fifth to the right. The relative minor scale is always three places to the right, and accordingly I have the basic chords of the minor scale. For instance, the C scales we see has no accidentals at all. The main chords are C, the first, F, the fourth, and G7, the fifth seven. The relative of C major, three places on the right, is A minor, and the main chords are A minor, the first, D minor, the fourth, and E7, the fifth, with 7. These 6 chords, 3 from the major and 3 of the relevant minor key, are covering a very large piece of the harmonic content of the music we are listening today. Turnarounds are chord connections that are played repeatedly in a musical piece. Here you will realize what a huge subject we have started with a circle of fifths. One very common turnaround is the following: first, sixth, fourth, fifth with 7. Let's see the position on the circle: 0, 3, 11, 1. Let's hear the turnaround a few times. Is this sound familiar to your ears? This is a chord sequence that we have heard in many songs. Let's see now. If we move this chord sequence one position to the right on the circle, we have the same turnaround in G major scale. G major, E minor, C, D7. If we go one more position to the right, we'll have the turnaround in D major scale. D major, B minor, G, A7, and so on. So, one simple chord connection of our 4 chords can go all around the circle of the fifths and give us many different sounds. They may be similar, but don't forget what we have said. Music is frequencies, and each individual has some frequencies that fit better to his ears. One more subject that we will deal is how melody works and how it is connected to the scales and the chords. The first important thing we must remember is that the scale of a musical piece is the path that this piece follows. So, if a piece is written on C major scale, the notes that it will follow are C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Have in mind here that as your knowledge and technique expands, all these rules become more relative and the solution and possibilities become vast. Let's use the basic chords of C major scales. Which are they? First, fourth, and fifth with 7. So, C, F, and G7. C chord consists of C, E, and G notes. How can I make a melody with C chord? 3 simple rules. Every note of the chord can also be a melody. We can have C chord with our left hand and play a melody with our right hand with C, E, and G notes. Second rule. When we play a melody with 2 consecutive notes of the chord, for instance C and E, we can also use the transitive note D. Transitive notes make a melody nicer. So, we have C, D, E, E, F, G, 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 A, B, C. These are some more transitions we can use. The third solution, moving around the note of a chord. C, D, C, C, B, C, or all the way, C, D, C, B, C. We can do these types of moves to make a nice melody. This type of melody always uses the next note of the scale and the note that is a semitone lower. So, if we take the E note, the move around will happen with F note, E, F, E, and the D sharp note, E, D sharp, E. These 3 melody rules are used to make the simplest melody, but also can take us much further to really complicated types of melodies. So let's take it a step further and use the basic chord sequence C, F, G7, C. I will play the sequence twice and we will make our first composition now. Remember, music is also a language, so how two phrases are functioning inside a language? See an example. How's the weather today? The weather is nice. There is a question and an answer to this question. The first phrase, the question, leaves the conversation open, and the second, answer, closes the conversation. Let's go to the music language now. The conversation we will make must have similarities for the first and second phrases. How can we achieve this? With the way that notes and values move. Let's go to our example. We have E and G notes and an F note as transition for C chord. We have an F and an A notes and a G as transition to F chord, and a G, F, D notes and an E transition for G7 chord. Let's hear it a bit. At last, we have the E note, as you saw, at the fourth bar. This is an important issue because a non-tonic note gives us the feeling that we need to hear more. The tonic gives us the feeling of closure. As you can easily notice, the second phrase is almost similar to the first one. And this is what gives us the feeling that we have the right conversation. The question and answer we're talking about. The thing that changes our last note is that now is the tonic and closes the piece. You can practice and experiment with the simple melody constructions, and also you could take them a step further by moving the melodies to different scales. Let's listen to the small piece. The last thing we will deal at this course is improvisation. For our native language, improvisation is speaking the language without reading what we say. And of course, this is how a language works. We read, we practice, we learn in order to speak easily, nicely, cleverly, etc. The same happens with music, but maybe it's a bit more complicated? No, it's not. But every language needs time to be our possession. Time is the issue. As long as we are dealing with every language, we learn it better. The same happens with music. I have played and studied music for over 40 years, and the truth is that you can never reach the end of it. And this is the nice thing with music. I always say that music is the nicest game I have played in my life. I can never be bored with music. But let's go to a bit of practice. Music theory in practice, remember? A two-chord turnaround, C major 7 and F major 7. C, E, B, G. Major 7 is a semitone from the octave. And F, A, C, E. My left hand will play these chords. I'll play for C major 7 the notes C, E, G, B, and for F major the notes C, E, F, A. This is an inversion, as you see, for the F major 7 chord. With this way, the two chords are very close and much easier to play them. For the right hand, I will give you 5 notes. C, D, E, G, and A. Whatever note you play, you will have a nice melodic result. I will give you a small example and then you can also experiment on improvisation. The most important thing for this exercise is the rhythm you use to play these 5 notes. So, let's hear the example. Now I will give you the same track in order for you to make your own experimentation and your own improvisations. Have fun! As you see, music can happen even with 5 notes. But this happens only with practice and experimentation. I hope you achieved reaching this point of my course and everything I show you to be your possession. I know well that this 2.5 hour course has compact knowledge, so the thing I say in almost every chapter is that you may need to see more than once every video to totally understand it. Whatever question you may have, you can ask me. And of course, you may use these videos for as long as you play music. Every time there will be a chapter that will be useful to you. A big exercise for you. I want you to take the three basic chords of a scale and take it as far as you can on the circle of the fifths. We have the first, the fourth, the fifth with 7, and again the first. For the beginning, use the inversion of the chords starting from the tonic's root position, as we did in the chord chapter on the keyboard exercise number 1. Our goal is to play the basic chords of every scale on the clock. We will begin with C major scale and move counterclockwise and play all the scales until we come back to C major scale. This is a really hard exercise and needs patience from you in order to play it around the clock, but I can assure you that it will be a really strong theory in practice goal. You can use your left, right or both hands to play the chords. The full exercise could be to do this using all the inversions of the tonic chord, but as a first and really big step, we'll use only root position. Do your research for the scales, the chords and the voicings, and when ready, play with me. You will hear 4 beats. I hope you made it to the end. This exercise really needs work and good preparation in order to play it. The most important thing is to think fast when you play and always be prepared for the chord that is coming next. Of course, we don't have only major scales, so we'll do the previous exercise to the minor scales basic chords. We'll start from A minor scale and we'll move counterclockwise until we get back to A minor. Do your practice, note down the scales and the chords, and when ready, we'll play together after the 4 beats.